concert, great time. If you're in Chicago, check out Reggie's. It's a great venue to see a show. And if Imminent Sonic Destruction or Ascendia or Circus Maximus happens to be coming to a town near you, freaking go.
Hey, going everyone. This is Mark Kennedy from Damnation's Day. You're listening to According to Metal.
Joining us on According to Metal is friend of the program, and I don't know why she's a friend of the program. Not that we don't want to be her friend, but for some reason she likes us. I don't really get it. But we just talked to Ascendia. We just talked Circus Maximus. Of course, Biv and I got a chance to see them in Chicago. But somebody we know got to see them and a whole bunch of other great bands at ProgPower this past week. And joining us on the program to give us a full, detailed review of what her times and adventures in Atlanta were this past week is friend of the program, editor of Lady Obscure. .com. She writes stuff. She's pretty much the Jane of all trades over there, but she's not Jane. She's Lacy Mucklow. Lacy, welcome back to According to Metal. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Glad to be back.
All right, so you got to go to ProgPower.
Yes, I did.
As the kids say, totally jelly. And hopefully Biv and I will be joining you there next year. But in the meantime, you got to not only see some pretty incredible bands, but you got to interview a bunch of people. And I'm going to shut up. Biv's going to shut up. And I just want you to kind of take us through your week of what you saw there and what your experiences were like. But before we get into that, like I said, we just talked a little bit ago, Biv and I, about seeing Ascendia live in Chicago. And, of course, they opened up, or were the band before Imminent Sonic Destruction, who opened up for Circus Maximus. So we saw Ascendia, we saw Circus Maximus, both live in Chicago at the first, quote-unquote, show of the mini tour that Circus Maximus and Imminent Sonic Destruction had, and Ascendia, for that matter, until they made their way down to Atlanta. But, before we get into the rest of your week, what did you think of Ascendia, first of all?
I thought Ascendia was great. I was kind of looking forward to seeing them, actually. When they did the roster announcement last year, they're pretty new. Yeah, so people were kind of like, oh, who are they? Kind of scratching their heads. But 2 or 3 of the guys, I think, had come down to the festival to watch it as well as kind of promote themselves. And they had set up a table in the vendor room so that after the roster announcement, people could come check them out, talk to them, buy their music and merchandise and things like that ahead of time. So, they kind of were getting their face out ahead of time for people to start checking them out. So that kind of got my attention. I'm like, wow, they already made their way down here and they want to be known, So they came up with a music video or 2 along the year that I was checking out and listening to their one album that they have out so far, and I was pretty impressed. So I was really looking forward to seeing them this year.
Yeah, The Lion and Jester just came out in 2015. Their only album they have so far, but I'll tell you, vocally especially, man, oh man.
Yeah, Nick's got a voice for sure, and he's like this not very big guy.
No, very unassuming guy by all means.
Yeah.
He has the look of a lead singer, but certainly not the what you would expect a lead vocalist of a band to look like, if you will. But dude can wail. No. He's really good.
Yeah, and one of my friends referred to him as the sharpest dressed vocalist in the festival.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean the attire doesn't look very metal, if you will.
No, he looks like a hipster.
Yeah, he does. He absolutely does. But metal all the way. Great band. I really thought they were quite good. Now I know you saw Circus Maximus prior to. Of course, Biv and I got to see him for the first time in Chicago, and I just said a couple of minutes ago, I would put their show in Chicago as one of the best sounding live bands I've ever heard in my entire life. And I'm not saying that just to say that because I'm a fanboy, but they sounded incredible live. Curious how they sounded in Atlanta, and what were your thoughts on it?
They sounded great. I was really glad to see them. I had some unfortunate circumstances in 2013 when they last played ProgPower, so I wasn't able to go at the very last minute, so I missed them. And they were one of the main bands I was definitely going to go see. So I was really, really looking forward to seeing them this time. So as far as their set, they played it immaculately. They sounded wonderful. Michael's voice was outstanding as usual. They played some music off of their new album. I wasn't sure, how much of that would take precedence, but they played a good selection from their catalog, and I think it came across really well. Like their title song, Havoc, is still not one of my favorites of theirs at all, but I think in a live setting, it came across better than on the album.
You're absolutely right. It's funny you say that, because I thought that too. I'm like, this is a song on the album, like we said when you joined us a while ago when we talked to when Havoc came out, where it sounded like a Marilyn Manson song to me at first. But live, it's really, really good. And like I said, and I know that, we are what I would consider friends outside of the podcast at this point. I know you and I chatted back and forth that Havoc has really grown on both of us, actually, a little bit after the fact, myself included. I was really rough on it when it came out. But it's grown on me quite a bit. And maybe I will even say after the show, the live stuff that the material off of Havoc they did live came off really well. Chivalry was great live.
Yeah.
So it was just some of the songs that I wouldn't thought it would have been, Highest Bidder was really good. Just songs that I didn't think would translate very well live. Off their new album actually came off really well, and to me it was almost kind of a best of like show, which is fine by me. I thought they did a really good mix of all four albums.
Yeah, I think they did too. So my only complaint about my show, and I don't know how it was at yours, and the venues I'm sure were much different. My only complaint was about my show with them was the lighting. It was very dark. They had a lot of red lighting, which I think was kind of going along with the kind of red theme against the black with the Havoc album, which is fine, but they had no kind of front lighting, so they were almost in silhouette the whole time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so...
we didn't have that issue, Lacy, but speaking of the venue, let me ask you that, because I want you to go back a little bit. For those of us that have never been to ProgPower, believe it or not, neither Jason and I have ever been, and I will be there next year. Mark my words, I will be there next year. But for those of us that have never been, what is the venue like? What's the atmosphere like? Or just how does it all come together? Just kind of walk us through.
Well, this is the first year that they've really kind of turned it into an official 4-day festival. It used to be Wednesday was kind of loose and people might trickle in. Thursday got to be a little bit bigger, and then Friday and Saturday were the main shows, and they still are. Those are Glenn's days. The main promoter, that's the days he does. And then the other promoters, Nathan and Milton, put together days 1 and 2. But now it's a full-fledged 4-day festival, and it's in center stage the whole time. What it used to be like on the Wednesday night especially, they would have it upstairs in a venue called The Loft, which is a very small stage in the standing room only, lack of circulation room that was very hot very quickly. And it wasn't...
In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Theocracy play there in The Loft?
Yes, they did. I saw them a couple years ago. Yeah, I saw them. Yes, but it gets very warm very quickly, and there's nowhere to sit down really, and it's just not as good. Center stage has a really nice, like theater type stage, and at least the way it's set up.
For those that aren't clear, center stage is actually a venue, right?
Center stage is a venue. Yeah, it's called center stage. Not to confuse it with just the stage in the room, but that's what it's actually called, is center stage. There's a bar venue called Vinyl. That's where they have the merchandise during the festival. And then there's the Loft, which is the room I was telling you about that's upstairs. It's a lot smaller. So it's really nice. It's moved up to like full-fledged 4-day festival in the largest arena in the building. And it has the main theater type staging. And the way they have it set up is they have a floor that is the standing room only for the people who like to stand, be up at the barrier, do all that kind of stuff. And then there's seating, like stadium seating above that. And the way it is, it's a general admission type of festival, though. So even though you have a ticket, you don't have an assigned seat, even though there are seats. They're not numbered. And it's kind of first come, first serve. And, people come and go. And you asked about the atmosphere. I personally like the seated areas. You can see better, or at least I can, because I'm short. I can't see over the standing crowd. I really don't want to stand for 12 hours either. So I sit and have a really nice view. There's really not a bad seat in the place, and it holds maybe 1,500 people. So it's relatively intimate, small, where you have a big enough crowd to have, good response, but it's not overwhelming. And you asked about the atmosphere, and what everybody talks about, and it's true, is it's like family. we call it like a family reunion. The same people a lot of times come every year. And then there's, newbies who come every so often, and they just kind of get pulled into the family, and we all hang out and look out for each other, and you meet more and more people every year. We all tease about how our Facebook friends list grows, a lot after every ProgPower because we meet new people. There's also a tradition where the hotel down the street where most everyone stays, and a lot of bands stay in there too, the Artmore, is they have a really large courtyard in the center of the hotel. It's like a little boutique hotel, so it's only 3 stories, so it's not a big high-rise. It's about a block from the venue, and after every night's concert, they all go there and gather around the fire pit and all the seating and just chat and mingle, and the band members come and talk, and they're out there until all wee hours in the morning, So there's a lot
very
of
cool.
Yeah, and another great thing about this, it's really nice, it's intimate. It's not so overwhelming that you can't ever meet anybody. They actually have signing sessions for the general public to go to. So you can meet any of your heroes, your musical heroes. They have set times, and sometimes they'll have 2 simultaneous tables, but no more than 2. And they give you the signing schedule time so you can get in the line out in the lobby. And, you can go through and meet whatever band you want to be in line for. So you can get your stuff signed, and you can talk to them, and they'll usually get pictures with you at the table and everything. So even if you're just like the most basic general admission ticket holder, you can still have these really great VIP-like meet and greet experiences with these people without even having to get the higher tiers that are available with certain caveats. Because there's the gold badge level, and then there's the VIP sponsor level, and those have other perks as well. So it's really intimate. It's a great way to see your bands, pretty up close, and you get to meet them, you get to talk to them, you get some exclusive merchandise opportunities, and it's people who all speak the same language. I mean, we're all pretty much progressive metal or metal in general fans, but everybody knows what you're talking about. You don't get those weird looks like you listen to who. We all know these maybe obscure bands that some people haven't heard of, or maybe a little bit more well-known, either mainstream or in the prog world, or the power metal world for that matter. And, we all know who we're talking about. It's really a pretty amazing experience.
So just to give our listeners a ballpark, what does, if you wanted to attend all 4 days,
yeah,
ballpark, how many bands are they going to see, and how much is it going to cost?
Let's see. So as it stands now, the first 2 days have been 4 bands a night. The second 2 days are 6 bands a night, so it's a total of 20 bands. And it's one stage, so you're not like at a festival where you have multiple stages that you're trying to jockey, who am I going to go see? So you'll get to see everybody, in chronological order, back to back. So you get to see 20 bands, and they sell tickets separately, days 1 and 2 together, and days 3 and 4 together. Wow. And I think it's less than 300 for all 4 days.
Oh, wow. That's not bad.
Yeah, like 120 for, pardon?
Less than 300?
Yeah, I think,
wow.
If I remember, it's like maybe 120 or 130 for days 3 and 4, and it's a little less for days 1 and 2. Like 75 maybe.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I will say, and in my world at least, and of course I wasn't there, I saw the day 1 and 2 lineup versus the day 3 and 4 lineup, and I actually like day 1 and 2 a little bit better. That's just my opinion.
I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that shows, that reflects a little bit of the different preferences of the promoters, because Milton and Nathan do days 1 and 2, and Glenn does days 3 and 4. So that's part of that.
So
let me ask you this, Lacy, real quick. I know that we always want to talk about the positives and whatnot, but one of the things that Jason and I have to do always is kind of, ask about the other side of it too, is who did you see of the 20 bands? Who did you see that you were kind of either disappointed by their set list or their performance or sound quality or whatnot? Who kind of flopped for you? Who were you disappointed by?
I really wasn't. Even the bands I wasn't thinking I was going to look as much forward to, or even stay through the whole set maybe, I ended up staying. because they
So you watched all 20 sets in their entirety.
The only band I did not see